Very good evening to you. My name is Nick Gillingham. I'm delighted to bring you the first final session of swimming here at the Aquatic Centre. First up is the men's 100 metres backstroke S6 final. We have already seen 5 world records this morning in the heats in qualification for the finals this evening and 4 Paralympic records. First up, the 100 metres backstroke, and in the name of Plotnikov, the world record holder. He will be wanting to take the challenge forwards. Fastest qualifier, Jay, in 4th from China. Jay, 24 years of age, right next door to his teammate and rival, Zheng, 21 years of age. Semenenko went well to qualify in lane 3, 25-year-old Ukrainian swimmer. The Aquatic Centre really hotting up this morning. Capacity crowd. And here we have the first competitors leaving the ready room. Joda from Iraq will go in lane 1. Michalis in lane 2 for Germany. (31 years of age), a German competitor. But here, Semenenko, 25-year-old from the Ukraine, big name in Paralympic swimming, had a great European Championships last year. Jay looking very confident, goes in for the fastest qualifier. Zheng goes in 5, also for China. From Germany.
Good afternoon, everybody. You're watching us live on ABC TV. My name is Ruben Mashvirango, and you're watching The Score live every Monday and Friday at 1:30 p.m. to 2:30. We're here to give you sport, and of course, Paralympics is the topic today. And we have a gentleman. This time is not Timpini, the president. It's actually Patrick, who will be discussing with us. They have a championship. That is the Uganda International Badminton Championship that will be taking place. Actually, that's already on, if I can say. So we shall be discussing that as well. But of course, we shall cross over to Europe. I'll be joined by Rita Liguma. We shall be discussing Chelsea against Man United. Remember, they have lost, out of the 9, they have lost 7 games. That is no competitions. So Ole will be looking forward to seeing a response from his lads. As well as talk about the big game in Italy between Inter and Juventus, where Inter have got to win the game to be sure of top 4. If they don't win, that means they will not be in the Champions League next season. So that will be coming up, but in the second part of the show. So we shall start with our guest, that is Patrick Sinol, who is from Paralympics. He will be discussing with us what they have on the menu, and of course the championship as it is. Patrick, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Robin.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I'm happy to be here.
I should start with the name, Patrick Sinol. Seriously, I will be honest with you. Until I met you today, I've not heard about that name. You come from which region?
Oh, the name, many people tell me that, but okay. The name is a Dutch name. I was born in Amsterdam, and my dad comes from the north, that is Gulu, but my mom comes from Mbarara.
Oh,
yeah.
So why were you born in Amsterdam when Mbarara North, Uganda? And then for you, the birthplace is Amsterdam. Why?
Of course, it's a global village. Okay. We transverse everywhere, and because my parents settled there, so that is how I got born there.
Well, I say he's from Amsterdam, and of course, I know many of you would love to interact with him and get to know what he has in store. But I will start with actually your week. How has been your week?
Oh, our week has been good, hectic. The struggle continues as always. And you know, apparently what we are having on, we started on 18th and it's ending on 28th. So we've been up and down and we're moving
organizing.
on. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I want to go to, but I'll tell you, Paralympics is not being given attention. Nobody pays, okay, few pay attention to Paralympics. So I want you to share with us the championship that started on the 18th. How is the response? How is the turn up?
Okay, maybe I pick up from where you say people don't pay attention so much to Paralympic. I think mostly it's about editorial aspect, and because there are not massive awareness created about sports for persons with disability. But in the global context, Paralympic is really striving, and even in Uganda, Paralympic has been striving.
Okay.
When you look at the past histories, what we have achieved in line with Paralympics, international level, national and regional, it's been great.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think with massive awareness creation, people will come on board. But basically, this championship is an international championship.
Okay.
Yeah, it's getting up to 27 countries conversing in Uganda. And apparently, 2 countries dropped out, that is US and Ghana.
Yeah.
But 25 are carrying on well. And we started with training and classification that started on 18th, and that was has been funded by Agitos Foundation. And Agitos Foundation as well sponsored 8 countries, African countries, in this event, including Uganda, full board.
Okay.
They paid for everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't get any funding from National Council of Sports for this event?
No, for this event, no. Basically, the funding has been from Agitos Foundation for this event.
So let's
and
look at the countries
of this event, because this event come in as event for qualifiers to the climax of Paralympic Games, that is Tokyo 2020. Yeah, so we have a couple of different events that athletes qualify in. Okay. So this time around, the International Badminton Championship is in Uganda, and the next event will be in Canada. In the next coming month.
Let's go to the countries. You said we have a bunch of countries here to participate in the championship, and take us through the countries that are part of the championship.
Oh, the countries that are part of the championship. Maybe I may not get up to the 20,
give us
27.
Those most common countries that are part of it.
Yeah, we have Ghana that has pulled off. We have US that has pulled off. We have France. We have Uganda, Benin. We have Cote d'Ivoire. We have African Territorial Republic. We have a couple of there's so many countries.
Also, sometimes when we organize such tournaments, there are challenges with the federations, and I know that finance is part of the challenges. But you as Paralympics, you said you had got a company on board to sponsor the championship. But besides that, what is your future as Paralympics? I mean, do you have a broader picture for the Paralympics?
Thank you so much, Robin. That has always been a very big challenge in the Paralympic movement in Uganda, because when you realize it takes a lot when it comes to Paralympic Games. For example, if you're taking one athlete who is visually impaired, that means you have to take them in pair. You have to have a guide. So at the end of the day, the funding, the funding limitation cripple us a lot from getting so many athletes to participate. And this has been something we have been engaging in since we engaged the government. We actually petitioned the parliament in 2014, and it was debated. And anonymously, the House agreed that they should fund Paralympic fully. But that didn't take effect. In 2016, when we won the silver medal in Rio Paralympic Games, the same issue came back to Parliament. Exactly.
But you only brag about that medal. That's the only medal you have as Paralympics.
No, that's not. I'm bringing you the perspective. I'm bringing you the perspective of the funding challenge and the petition, how it came about. So when that came back to the floor of Parliament, when we won that silver medal, the same issue was agreed upon. Nothing was acted on. In 2017, we won a gold medal in the World Paralympic Championship. And the same issue came back. And that's when, in 2018, we started getting 37 million shillings per quarter from the government. Through NCS. So you could look at the perspective, 37 million shillings, and our budget is 2.7 billion shillings. The pathway to Tokyo 2020. Paralympic Games is after 4 years. So if you want 2.7 billion shillings for our pathway, because we need to send our athletes to different events so that they qualify for the climax of the Paralympics. Like we are having another championship coming, a qualifier which is coming in Morocco in January 2020, and we intend to take almost about 70 athletes. And where do we get that funds? 70 athletes for that, because that will be a time the athletes can qualify. We have a pathway. We go region to region because we transverse all to a country to identify talent. We get athletes and we bring those athletes to come to train. All those things needs funding. So our biggest challenge that cripple our movement is the funding, because we have a lot of athletes who could come out with medals, but the problem has always been funding.
And now that takes us to a question to ask you, how do I apply to be part of that the Paralympic group? Because I might have lost my small finger, I might have lost my palm. So what is the criteria that makes a person qualify to be part of Paralympics?
What happens? We as Uganda Paralympic have associations. We have 19 associations with different disciplines. We have para swimmers, we have rowing, we have wheelchair basketball. We have sitting volleyball, we have para badminton, we have para swimmers. So those couple of association goes under different disciplines. So if you are a para swimmer, that means you go under the para swimming association. If you're a wheelchair basket player, you go under wheelchair basketball association. Para rower, the same. Like now, Pararowers has 2 athletes who are going to Italy for an event, and in that event they can actually qualify for Paralympic Games.
So with athletes, when you come back home with the medal, I was actually hosted Onyik, and of course the National Athletic Federation, Apple was here to discuss that. They say that when you come back home with a medal, you go home with some money, 25 million. So you, as Paralympics, David Emong came back here with the biggest of medals. So did you give him anything as a federation? Or just said thank you and you went back home?
Okay, Robert, this is basically gearing towards basically a monetary aspect, but I look at the bigger picture. What would make the country proud? If I bring a medal, I make my country proud. I put my country on the map. So that's one aspect. As me, if I bring a medal, I feel so proud about that. But also beside that, the government has a system that if you bring medals from bronze, silver, and gold, there you're supposed to be given some.
I want the federation, Patrick. The federation. You must have an arrangement for athletes. I mean, David Emong, for me, until he won the medal, I didn't know that it was that good. So, as a federation, you said you will get 35 million every quarter.
No, the thing is, one thing you need to look into, Robin, when you get into people only realize the achievement. They don't know the trend you move through to get the achievement. And this is what I always try to tell my media colleagues, because at the end of the day, when a goal is around the corner, everyone wants to host the person who got the goal. But do you follow up that athlete from how the athlete persevere to get to that moment? Because there are so many different aspects that happen to make that person get there. Emong got a lot of other medals before getting to the international scene, but no one seems to think about that.
Because the PR office is not working. I mean,
no, that's not the point. I must say, I have a couple of colleagues like NASA. This is a guy who works with Monitor. This is a guy who goes to the extreme where we do the training in different places. When we are going to Arua to identify talent in our athlete pathway, it's with us. Those are the moments you realize how far these athletes come.
Okay.
and how far the suckers go.
You are being technical here. You're answering me the technical part of it.
No, that's the reality.
But you have a point. You do have a point.
That's the reality.
We need, as actually as media, we need to follow up on these athletes. We don't have to celebrate with them when they have won bigger prizes. We need to start from the grassroots, right? I hope I've got it right.
Yeah, that's the point.
But the platform is not clear. I mean, the platform isn't clear. It's a hassle to get to you guys. It's very hard to get to you guys. So if I tell you what I went through to get you here, you might even be surprised.
Okay, Robin, one thing is it's not a hassle to get to us because we are open book. Everything we do is to the limelight.
Okay.
Actually, every event we are involved in, if you follow us on our Twitter handle, if you follow us on our Facebook page, we always
Publish
put
the
even
events.
video clips.
But where I come from, I don't know about Twitter.
All right, fine.
You can educate me about Paralympics, but I don't know about Twitter, I don't know about Facebook. I am somebody from Boyukwe. Let's say that Ruben is the person who is watching TV now and doesn't understand Twitter. And would love to know where Emon came from,
exactly.
what he's up to.
Exactly, and that's why we do Athletes Pathway. We do Athlete Pathway, and we go to
the grassroots.
Okay. We identify talents from the grassroots, not from Kampala. We transfer until when you see these ones coming to a pre-qualification event in Nambole, we would have done a lot to get them right from the grassroots to bring them for training to the camp until they do those pre-qualification. Okay. So it's not about only Twitter. Of course, you know, you need to understand your audience. If I want someone in Amur there to understand, I'm going to a local radio station to create awareness about Paralympics.
Yes.
That is what we do. So the point is, to me, it's not more of about highlighting our achievement to the elites. Okay. We start from the grassroots, but we need each other all through, and that's why media is key in what we do.
Well, media is key in what they do, and of course we hope that next time they come up with a medal, David Emon comes up with another medal, maybe the media will be alerted. Let's finally, Patrick. There's some of us who are parents. It's a challenge to accept our children the way they are. It's a challenge to accept you, to take them to be athletes, to be footballers, to be anything in terms of co-curricular activities. So how do you convince me as a parent that my daughter or my son is good enough to be part of Paralympics?
Thank you so very much, Rob, and that's a very, very important question because on my own perspective, I've been doing humanitarian work for quite a while.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I must say in the last 15 years, I've been doing humanitarian work. But the point is when it comes to person with disability, it's a different case. We need to understand, because it's all about attitude, because at the end of the day, if I get a child with disability, my attitude towards that child plays every role. Okay. If as a parent I love that child like any other child, the child is not going to feel any different. When we look at access to education, do we have our environment conducive for persons with disability to go to school? Our school institution have accessibility provision? Because if I have a child with a visual impairment, the child goes to a mainstream school, are you going to handle that child? Okay. Now the attitude starts right from the parent. Then it goes to the education stakeholders. It goes to policymakers. Because if we have all the environment accessible for everyone, and that brings me to the Sustainable Development Goals. If you're to leave no one behind, you must actually make sure you look at everyone as a human being.
Well, that's well explained. That's well explained. I don't think I have any other question, maybe. But of course, Patrick, good you've come, and thanks so much for honoring our time to get here. Your final remarks, Patrick?
My final remarks would be, I call upon all the different stakeholders to look at the perspective of giving a platform for everyone in an equal basis, whether a person with disability or not, give them the equal basis. both in employment, education, sports, and all that, because it's important for us not to leave anyone behind.
Okay. Thanks so much, Patrick.
Thank you, too.
Hope to have
It's
you
a
again.
pleasure. Yeah.
Well, that has been Patrick from the Paralympics, and of course we will have him next time to discuss any other event. But of course, if you have a child out there, it's not too late for you. Or maybe that child can represent Uganda and get us that medal David Monk got for us. And of course, the Federation is there to help out the talents, and we've got to reach out to them and they create awareness. But of course, he has said that on the grassroots they're already there. But I haven't seen them in Buyukwe, I should say. Maybe it's just here to us lies. I've not seen any office in Buyukwe. I would love to see one office in Buyukwe. But anyway, we go for this short break. When we get back, we shall start with Rita, and of course we have the games from England as well as the Serie A. Don't go away.
Hello?
Where can we find the mechanic?
That's it!
For
what? That's it! What happened? Finished!
You have network here.
You're not on Airtel! For us, we have Airtel 4G everywhere!
Access data anywhere on Uganda's only 100% 4G network. With you always. Airtel, the smartphone network.
That's two more mistakes today. He's not invested moments. What do you put that down to?
Well, I think I'm concerned about the lack of results that we get, and in times like these, it's not time to point fingers at anyone and blame anyone. We got to stick together, and the strange reality is that we're still in with a shout for the top four. We got Chelsea here on Sunday. You can see a reaction here today from the lads, which is all good, but we need more quality as well on Sunday because we need to win that game, and if we win it, then there's two games to make sure we get enough points and goals.
How much of an impact would it have on next season to not be in the Champions League? And not just psychologically, but also the way your season pans out, having to play Thursday nights, that sort of thing. It's absolutely vital that you get in the top four.
Of course you want to get into top four. I've not been thinking or planning on playing on Thursday nights yet, so we'll have to see when 12th of May is done. We just got to make sure that we give ourselves a chance now on Sunday.
Roy Keane said some of these players are bluffers. He accused some of cheating tonight, the way they went about the game. You played with Roy. Do you understand where he's coming from with that viewpoint, or do you think he's too critical with that?
Well, I've always, with Roy, have always had a great relationship with him, and how do you say, his opinion is, I value his opinion very highly, and he's got his opinion. We've played together for many years, and he's a Man United guy as well. He hurts just as much as anyone else connected to us that we are so far behind City as we are. And of course that's that's my job though, to make sure that when we come back pre-season that I have the right characters in and around, because that should never be allowed. Because when you're at Man United, you'll always, the highlight will be on your headlines, and you got to make sure that you come into work every single day and like the effort like they gave to.
Welcome back from that short breather. My name is Ben once again, and I'm joined by Rita Liguma. And of course, in this segment, we actually have our Premiership. But of course, before we go into the Premier League and the Serie A, let's come back home here and talk about KCCA winning the league with 2 games to play. And of course, Rita, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you once again.
Good to see you.
You look beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much.
Do you have a dinner today?
Yes, sir. Probably with you. Okay. I'll ask you for a date here. Or as people watching
us. I'm available for today. I'm available. Maybe Saturday, no, but today I'm available.
Okay.
How have you been, Rita?
I've been okay. I've been fantastic. But of course, I should say I'm excited about what is going on, especially in the world of sport. If you look at KCCA winning the championship, actually now the 3rd consecutive time. Okay. I think, of course, in as much as yes, we are giants, this is something that I'll always say. But of course, usually there is a side that you can always support. Okay. But seeing KCCA actually moving to the heights, actually trying probably maybe to take off SC Villa, which has the highest winning record in the Uganda Premier League. Probably maybe it is actually taking them somewhere, and probably maybe they are trying to see that they take off SC Villa and probably maybe get there. And according to the chairman, he says they are not about to stop that winning streak until they get.
But for me, they have been a poor team. It's just that the chasing pack has also been wanting.
How do you actually say that?
The best of teams, if you ask me, they have not played their best football like they did 2-3 years ago, and they have not been the best team. But it's just that they are lucky. They are really lucky that.
I expected that from someone.
Is flattering. SC Villa as well, Vipers as well. Anyway,
let's go to England. When will you learn how to appreciate actually some of these teams? But besides that, in Pima, we got some good news that actually Okello is actually moving. Alan Okello is moving from Ugandan local league to another league in Europe. But definitely we'll be giving you all the news coming from that side.
But is it to go to Europe? I mean, we saw a player that is Farouk Mia leave Uganda for Belgium, and he has actually been struggling with form and climate. And so is Alan Okello ready to move to Europe? Is he ready?
I think that is actually the disadvantage that comes with transfers. In most cases, once they get out there, they never get the playing time. But when you're here in Uganda, definitely now Alan Okello is actually still a very great asset, so he gets the playing time. But when he goes out there, who can we be sure that he will be given playing time apart from being given a lot of food and probably maybe getting fatter within the 3 months? But anyway, God knows better.
Now, kudos for winning the league, and of course we are pretty sure that with such kind of form, maybe the players who are good enough, Muzamini Mutiaba, to Alan Okello, Just Poloto, thank Kongs guys for Kongs Michael Mutabi for winning the league. But of course next year is about Express FC and SC Villa. They will return back stronger. They will be the best of teams. That of course for me, I like the green jersey that won them a championship. I don't
it's a rare color.
It's always been yellow.
Red and green? Where did that come from?
They have the green. I mean, they played in the green, and I'm like, are they on Duparaka?
I know. That is what I was about to say. That probably maybe they are trying to, be like Oduparaka at that time.
Well, let's go to England, Rita. I mean, we have a couple of games that will be played in England, and I'm pretty sure that we will start with actually the big one in England. That is between Man U and Chelsea, and it will be at Old Trafford. And of course, Manchester has not been the best of teams. When you focus on the two teams, Rita, here, you look at Chelsea's back four. That actually, if Rudiger gets out of this, out of here, then you have that means Christensen comes in to partner Luiz. But for me, with the lineup, I mean, the midfield. The problem is going to be the midfield. Kovacevic normally gives way for Ross Barkley. Yeah. And then when you look at Manchester United midfield, that has been also not good enough. Paul Pogba and Nemanja Matic might start tomorrow, but rather on Sunday. But Fred has been giving us a lot of balls. I don't know whether the Ole will start with Fred or McTominay.
But well, if you look at the entire game, it is actually going to be a very tight game indeed.
True,
it
true.
is. I mean, this Premier League, I think the Premier League season has actually been so unpredictable, and it has been very tight. But from the look of things, I think if De Gea is actually left in goal, probably maybe he could actually be one of those that we could look at the sale. But people at the back have to do so much to make sure that they do not concede.
I was watching an interview with Roy Keane and Gary Neville, and said that Manchester is the defense is really wanting. They're not defending well. They need two centre halves to come and try to solve the problem. But if the way they're going to line up tomorrow, I expect Lindelof or Smalling to come in here with either Phil Jones or even Marcos Rojo. But the wing backs, that is Luke Shaw and Ashley Young. For me, Luke Shaw is a young lad who is who can improve in time. But for me, Ashley Young is an old player. He cannot give you 90 minutes every game.
Exactly. But if you look at the last game they played against Manchester City, you could not actually believe that this is the Manchester United that we know. If you
they lost that game.
Exactly. If you look at actually, if you follow probably maybe what even the fans were talking about this entire game, you would actually you were seeing a number of people actually saying that in as much as probably maybe we just scrap the whole team, because that night it was so bad. It was very unfortunate. And if you look at what De Gea was actually doing in goal, definitely you cannot blame him for the entire mistake, for all the mistakes that he made. You could blame as well the players, the entire team that was involved, but it was not really that team that you could actually say that probably they could actually put out something. Unless if they really come out.
That only needs to buy players, only needs to try and boost that squad. But the question is, where are the players? I mean, who can join Manchester? And if there are teams like you can look at Real Madrid, look at Bayern Munich, you look at Liverpool, Juventus, they all want to get players into their squads. I'll give you an example. Madrid needs 6 players Zidane has actually been given a budget to go and get the 6 players. The 6 players include Paul Pogba. So if they lose Pogba as Man U, who's going to replace Pogba?
It is actually very sad. I mean, at this point, I don't think actually Manchester United has to lose some of the players, especially now. If you look at in as much as, yes, they are not doing really well. But me, I'm thinking there is a problem probably maybe back in the dress, exactly. There is something, because if you look at most of these players, most of them are actually good players. If you look at Young, Smalling, then Pogba, but again, if they end up losing Pogba, it is actually going to be disaster for them.
For the sake of the dressing room and the team ethic, work ethic, I mean, I would rather lose Pogba. I mean, his attitude his body language is not way up for Manchester United. I mean, that's why Ferguson sold him 5 years ago to join Juventus, because he looked at the boy and the boy was so disrespectful of the club. So he comes in, puts in about what they call it a low shift. I mean, the way he played against City is not the Pogba we know. So for me, if I was Ole, I would let Pogba go and then bring up the young ones. I mean, Manchester has always been known to grooming young players. Groom the young players, get 2-3 stars in the team, but go back to the academies. Get your backbone from the academies, because they understand your philosophy, they know your culture, they know the club. So for me, I believe that Pogba should actually leave for Madrid.
But really, okay, now if you actually look at that game, you have actually said that Pogba is not the kind of player that we know who actually played against Manchester City. But do you actually realize that almost all the players did not really put up quite a good performance? It was not only Pogba. I think the entire team had a problem that evening.
I agree. But anyway, Rita, let's go to the striking line. Normally, Mauricio Sarri starts with Hazard as a false 9, and then the 2 supporting wingers, that is a Willian as well as a Pedro. So if he starts if these 3 players start, that is Willian and Hazard, with Higuain as the centre half, maybe they can have a chance. But if Hazard comes here and then Higuain goes back to the bench, and then you bring in Willian and another winger, or let's say Odo is out for the season, he's got injured. So if they bring another winger here, that is a I forget the player they got from Barcelona. I know, it skips my mind. Pedro. If Pedro plays here, and then then Willian, Hazard will be left alone in that. I mean, you look at the defenders, Smalling and Lindelof are tall guys who can always mark out a player. So for me, if they want to win this game on Sunday, they've got to ask Hazard to be the false 9, to be number 10, and then have Higuain on top of Hazard, and then they're good to go. But Manchester, you look at the front 3, Lukaku, Martial, and Rashford. For me, I would actually have Lukaku here, but I would take out Martial and bring in Lingard.
What I can actually say that this is going to be a very tough game. But still, if you look at what Chelsea is having at the moment, I think Chelsea stands better chances of winning this game, unless otherwise.
At Old Trafford?
Yes. It is possible.
I don't think so. I don't. Maybe Chelsea. The Chelsea I've watched over the last couple of months. I doubt they can go to Old Trafford and win a game. The Chelsea that played against Everton, the Chelsea that has been inconsistent throughout the season, I don't think they can go to Old Trafford and win a game. I don't think so.
Unless otherwise, really. First of all, I think in this game, it is Manchester United that is going to be under so much pressure.
Okay.
Chelsea are coming actually to Old Trafford to prove a point. Manchester United are under so much pressure. So such cases can actually bring, different issues to the players. Okay. So it is actually very possible that these guys can actually get into this and win a game.
Take us through other games in England.
Well, I think the most important. The most important games we have actually Liverpool.
Leicester against Liverpool. Is it Leicester or Liverpool plays tomorrow? Actually, tonight. They play tonight, Liverpool.
Yes, they play tonight, but.
No, Liverpool is actually going to be the action, but of course for me, there are 3 games remaining for the team of Liverpool and of course Man City. So if they don't win their next 3 games, Liverpool will not be champions. And Man City, for me, I've looked at the Man City had to beat United at Old Trafford to be sure of the championship. And I'm pretty sure that in the next 2-3 games, between now and 12th of May, we will know the champion. And Liverpool, I'm sorry for Audrey and others who love Liverpool, they might not be the champions at come 12th May.
Well, it is actually very unfortunate. I really expected probably maybe Liverpool to even Liverpool was supposed to win. Rather, Manchester United did not actually help Liverpool in this case. Yeah. That is what I could actually say. That is what even the team coach came out to say, that they did not help Man City. They did not help them probably maybe to win this championship. But that is not the end of it all. Okay. He actually comes out to give him. Of course, he's trying to create excuses that it doesn't matter. Last season, actually, they were 25 points away from the table leaders. But if you look at what is happening today, so he comes out to console himself that even if they win the championship, whether they win it or lose it, but if they lose it this time, I don't think they're going to get a chance very soon. Yeah.
35 games played. Look at the top 2 teams, 89 points to 88, 3 games to play. But for me, Liverpool have a tricky tie. But they do. For me, Liverpool don't have the mental strength to win the championship. I don't think so. They have tried and tried and tried, and the Manchester beat United at Old Trafford. I declared them champions because I can't see them losing any game.
Manchester City?
Champions, because I don't see them losing a game.
But in Pima, if you look at the teams actually Liverpool is going to be battling with, we have Huddersfield, Newcastle, and then Wolves. On the 26th, we'll be having Huddersfield.
Where is Newcastle? Is Newcastle away at St. James Park? Oh, it's
away.
At home.
It's actually away.
Now
it's actually away. Then Wolves at home, and I think those are actually going to be tight games. If you look at the game on the 12th, first of all, 12th May, it might seem a simple game, Wolves, but Wolves has actually is a team.
There are 2 cricket teams for Liverpool, Wolves and as well as Newcastle. And for me, I strongly believe that away at Wolves, Liverpool might find it hard to break them down. But for me, Rita, the race. Let's look at the race for the top 4. Spurs, Chelsea, Spurs, Chelsea, United, as well as Arsenal. So who takes the 3rd and the 4th? I believe that Arsenal have lost 2 games in a row. They lost against Wolves and Crystal Palace. I see their form going down a bit. This applies to Man U. I think Chelsea are in the comfort zone to actually take over from the 3 teams. I mean, Spurs and United are not in the best of shapes. The same applies to Arsenal. I don't know whether you have an opinion on the
probably maybe if you look at the games that we actually have against Arsenal on 28th, we'll be having Leicester City against Arsenal.
Okay.
And then Brighton.
That is actually yes. That is tomorrow. Is that tomorrow or Sunday?
It's actually.
This weekend.
It's this weekend. And then Brighton and then they also have an away game at Burnley. But of course, if you look at Arsenal, I think Arsenal is a team that is usually inconsistent. They never keep the race in as much as, yes, they're in the last, but this is the time we expect them to be winning, at least to maintain themselves in probably maybe to qualify for the UEFA Championship. But honestly, I don't see this happening with
now.
Arsenal.
Okay, those who are going to be relegated, Cardiff, or rather Fulham and Huddersfield Town are gone. There is Cardiff, Brighton, and Southampton. What separates Cardiff and Southampton is actually it's around 6 points, and with 3 games to play. Now, if Cardiff win their next 3 games, they'll go to 40 points. That will take them on level with Burnley. That's if Burnley don't win their next 3 games. And if Southampton lose their next 3 games, they'll be relegated. They'll be relegated. The same applies to Brighton. So who is going to join Cardiff and Fulham and Huddersfield Town? I think Cardiff might give way. They might give way. Cardiff and Southampton. One of them might give way.
Well, that is actually going to be a sad moment for them. But still, indeed, if you look at Manchester United will be taking one as well, Cardiff. Yeah. Honestly, Cardiff.
Well, let's go back to the Serie A. We have the big game in Italy, the Italian derby between Inter and Juventus. And when we look at the lineups here, Inter might actually come up. Okay, Juve will come up with the midfield that has Pjanic, Matuidi, and of course Bentuca. Then the front 3 that has Mandzukic, Ronaldo, and Dybala. And for me, I don't know what the player that is Douglas Costa did to Allegri. If you ask me, I cannot employ a winger here, minus actually Douglas Costa. But of course, when you look at the back 4 that has Cancelo, Chiellini, Bonucci, as well as De Sirio. For me, I think the back 4 is good enough. But I would love to see the old man, that is Abazali, come back to the back 3. Then you play a 3-5-2 against Inter. Yes, Juventus are champions now. They are already champions. They are crowned last weekend when they won their game. But of course, Inter Milan need to win this game, Rita. We look at Politano, who has been playing fantastic football. Then you go to Mauro Icardi as well as Perisic, the front 3. Then the midfield that has Brozovic. Then there is Mario as well as Gagliardini. For me, Gagliardini has also had a great season with Inter. But the back 4 for me, Miranda is actually a veteran in that defense. He played for Atletico a couple of years ago, and I think Juventus might be champions, but they are good enough to win this game.
That is what I was about to say. Do you actually think it is actually the same habit that we have in Africa, probably, I could say East Africa, where you have to encourage your partners or your neighbors, probably maybe to do better and probably maybe qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations, for example. But now, if you look at, yes, Juventus have already won this, but do you really see a chance of Juventus giving it to their counterparts to win this game?
Professionally, of course not. So. Yeah. I mean, they've got to be professional enough. But if because there are teams like Lazio and AC Milan who want also to be in the top 4. So if Juventus just go and lie down and concede goals against Inter, maybe Milan will say, why did you give away about the 3 points? But for me, I know Juventus are not playing for anything. They are sure of the Champions League next season. Yes. They have won the Scudetto. So it's Inter's game to lose.
Well, indeed. But if you look at the 6 games actually they have played. If you look at Inter Milan, they drew with Roma, then they beat
Frosinone.
Yes, 3-1. Yes. Then drew. It was a goalless draw against Atalanta. Then beat Genoa, and that was away 4-0, as well as losing to Lazio 1-0, and then losing to AC Milan 3-2. Exactly. But then if you look at Juventus, Juventus have actually they beat Fiorentina 2-1. Then
they lost to Genoa 2-0. I remember that goal. That game.
I know. Then they lost to Ajax 1-0, as well as losing to Spal at 1-2, and then drawing against Ajax 1-1, while they beat up a bigger team actually that they lost to AC Milan, Inter Milan lost to AC Milan, but these ones beat a big team.
That was a derby.
Exactly. 2-1. So what is that supposed to mean? It actually carries a lot of sense, especially as we go into this big game. If they manage to beat this bigger team, I think Juventus actually still really stands a lot of many chances to win this game over the weekend?
For me, I should say, Rita, I believe that whatever you're saying is right, and I'm pretty sure that Juve, for me, they might spoil the party for Inter Milan. If Inter Milan beat Juve tomorrow, but they will be in the driving seat to be in the top 4. And for me, as a Rossoneri, as a man from the red side of Milan, I would love to see SC win this game. But Rita, finally, the weekend is here.
Well, the weekend is actually very...
I thought you were going to tell me that, Ruben, there is this outing here, there's this dinner here.
Why are you only thinking about dinners and outings and all that? Of course, there are very many things that we're going to be doing over the weekend. But of course, personally, I'll always have this slum soccer and playing, you know, with different communities. We have slum soccer in the slums of Acholi quarters, and, you know, inviting different slums for these kids to come together and, you know, have fun. It is very important for them to do that. But of course, it will be very fantastic to also follow up all the Premier League games that will be taking place over the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for me, I'll be catching the Juventus Inter game, and that will be on Sunday. There's no way I can miss out on that game. It's actually a big game in the whole of Europe, and many of you will be catching that game on Rai channel. That is channel 302 on DSTV. Anyway, that's it from us as the sports team. Of course, we thank the team, the crew here. Michael Sebaru Bule, we've been fantastic on the camera. Great prize to Brother Atoro, and as well as Nasa Mukasa, was you know, Nasa is like somebody who makes me smile all the time. But of course, the team that's in the control room, from Fiona to Alan, and then Peter Mutavaz, as well as Steve Kamoga. You've been wonderful and you've done a fantastic job. Wish you all a fantastic and blessed weekend. But don't forget that alcohol is evil. Do not drink and drive. Bye for now.